All right, welcome back to Optimal Self, the concept series. Those of you that haven't heard it, this is the concept series. All right. So, what does that mean? How do we take concepts that are within the highest achievers, the biggest, most professional, and most successful people in the world? And what are the concepts and principles that they use? So, we got a little series for you. We've already done 1 and 2, and today is concept 3. And concept 3 is success precedes confidence. Let me say that to you again. Success precedes confidence. What an interesting concept, right? Because listen, I want you to stay with me today because I want you to see how some of the best in the world at what they do, how they've built their confidence, but they've built it through small successes, through little things. And I'll give you the kickoff right away because I want you to stick around because you're going to get this. And if you get this concept, I promise you, it will absolutely positively change your life. And so you guys all know Kobe Bryant. He's everywhere these days and age on the internet, due to his death and everything that's happened. So rest in peace. But one of the things that people don't realize is that, you talk about Kobe and he's supremely confident, right? Even the guys that talk about him talk about the confidence that he exuded walking into the locker room or onto the floor to play the games, even in game 7 of a championship series. But do you want to know the truth? That his confidence was built from that his daily routine, his daily goal was to literally be the first one in the gym. That was it. Not shoot 1,000 shots, not make 1,000 shots, not dribble, none of those things. It was simply be the first. If that meant 5 a.m., if that meant 4 a.m., if that meant 3 a.m., it didn't matter. But it was a simple goal, and it was tangible, and it was measurable, and he could do it, right? So I want you to stay with me today. Because do you think that Kobe was motivated every day to get up and be that? He wasn't. You understand? Because motivation and confidence are 2 very different things. Many people are motivated. Very few are truly confident because confidence is only earned, and it is earned through progress, right? By taking action, by doing, and by completing. You see, truthfully, progress is the primary way to build confidence. And you see, a self-confident person is simply someone who keeps promises to themselves. And here's the kicker. Those promises compound over time, good and bad. Those promises that you keep to yourself is what builds your self-confidence. The bad, right? How many times have you said you were going to get up at that time? How many times did you say you were going to go to the gym? How many times did you say you were going to eat better? Right? We break the promises to ourselves. But so the supremely confident, the supremely successful, right? They keep those promises to themselves. And the best way to do that is to start small. And I'm going to give you a little story because it's really great. So there was a lady, right? She comes home and she's engaged, and her fiance breaks up with her, calls off the wedding, calls off the relationship. This is it, right? Packs his things and goes. And here she is, broken, just completely heartbroken in every which way she can. And she's standing there nakedly in the mirror saying, looking at herself going, what is wrong with me? Right? And she starts naming it up. I'm 80 to 100 pounds overweight. I, hate my job. All the things. She just starts listing out these things. She says, wait a minute. What's the one thing that I've always wanted to do? She wanted to go to Egypt. She wanted to see the pyramids. Okay. Her dream, whatever. True story this is, by the way. Right? So she says, screw it. I got some money in the bank. I'm gonna plan the trip. She gets a 2-week trip to Egypt, right? And so she goes on all these different tours, and she's out on this tour one day, and she finds this flyer, and the flyer actually has this another tour on it, and it says 20-mile excursion. Remember this 20-mile excursion. And she's like, yeah, listen, I'm 100 pounds overweight. She's a smoker, right? There is no way I could do 20 miles. And so she keeps the flyer with her. She goes back to her hotel room. And one night she really, goes to sleep, wakes up in the morning. First thing she always does, reaches over, goes to grab a cigarette, laying in bed, grabbing a cigarette. And as she's grabbing the cigarette, she knocks over a cup of water, spills, and the glass breaks. She's like, oh my God, of course me. So she lays in bed, smokes a couple cigarettes as she's sitting there, right? Victim mentality, just woe is me. Why does this always happen to me? And she ends up falling back asleep, right? Puts out her cigarette, she falls back asleep. And then when she wakes up, she totally forgot about the glass that had fallen off and broke. So she spins around and she steps on the grass and she cuts her foot on the glass. Now her foot's bleeding. She's got a piece of it, right? You see how the bad is compounding. You with me? Right? True story. She tells the story beautifully. And so she says, forget this. This is it. I'm done. And right next to her on her bed, on the nightstand, is that flyer for the 20-mile excursion. And she sits up, wiping her foot, cleaning up the mess, cleaning up the blood, getting it all ready, right? On the back of it, she says, 1 year from now, I'm going on this excursion, right? Makes a decision for herself. I'm going on this excursion 1 year from now. So she actually goes down and she actually books it for the next year. Goes home, gets home, and puts that thing up on her wall and is like, this is what I'm going to do. Well, if I'm going on a 20-mile excursion, I need to get in shape. I need to feel better, right? So she literally removes the clothes that are on top of her treadmill. How many of you home right now have a piece of equipment that you bought that you never use that now is a clothes hanger, right? You guys have all seen it. Okay. So she moves it all and she starts with 5 minutes. I'm just going to walk for 5 minutes. I got 20 miles to go, but I got to start somewhere. And so she starts. 5 leads to 10, 10 leads to 20, 20 leads to 30, 30 leads to a light jog, leads to going outside. Then she's like, wow, I wonder, like, I'm really enjoying this. Man, my lungs would probably feel better if I stopped smoking. So she gets herself a patch, goes from the patch, she goes to the gum, stops smoking, right? Man, now all of a sudden she's starting to lose weight because she's starting to get active, right? So she starts to eat a little bit better. Well, let's see if maybe I just don't go through McDonald's and get the breakfast and the coffee. What if I start eating a little better? So she starts eating a little better. You see how it compounded before. You see how this is compounding now, right? Literally, check this out. This is what's so cool is she's like, man, I'm really enjoying this running. She's running on the treadmill. She starts to go outside. So she gets on Facebook, finds a group, right? And on the group, she finds a running group in her area, meets these people. They're going to do, a half marathon or a 5K or something. She's like, cool, let's do it. So she gets in and she starts doing it. And then she starts running outdoors and she starts going. No, now let's fast forward. So now she's got this 20-mile excursion coming up, right? So she's running, she does a 5K, she does a half marathon, weight's coming down. Here we are a year later as she's getting ready to board a plane to go back to Egypt to go on this excursion. She's 122 pounds down. She has now done multiple half marathons. Oh, by the way, she not only has a new job, she's in her dream job. Her dream job. Through this whole year, these are the things that have transpired in her life. Her energy is up. She's eating better, all these things. She gets all the way there. And the punchline is funny because she gets to the excursion where she thinks she's going to be hiking this thing for 20 miles and she's ready, right? And here comes a Mercedes Sprinter van pulled up and they open the door. It's actually going to drive the 20 miles. They were just telling you it's 20 miles away, not that you had to hike the 20 miles. But it was her perception. But it goes back to this. What our concept today is that success precedes confidence. And so I want to use her as our guide and 𝗁𝗁𝗃𝗁 as our guide and to see how this actually works. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you 3 steps to building unshakable confidence. Are you ready? Let's roll. Step 1, make it as simple as possible. Start small, remove all obstacles, and then execute daily, right? We have to start small, right? We have to start as simple as possible. What did Kobe say? I'm just going to get up and go to the gym. I'm going to be the very first in the gym. And you know, the truth is he was hours ahead of people, not minutes. He didn't get in and somebody came in after him. He was there working for hours before anybody showed up. But it was very simple. Just get up and go to the gym. That's it. What I do there is what I do, right? But I don't want you to confuse motivation and confidence, right? Because you may feel motivated after you start, right? You might get that thing up. You may feel that motivation starting to weather inside of you, right? You start to feel better. But understand, right, that doing it consistently is what ultimately builds the confidence. Getting there, Kobe in the gym day after month after year is what built the supreme confidence, because the success of showing up in the gym preceded the confidence he built on the court. I hope you guys see that, right? And again, confidence comes from watching yourself follow through. I said I was going to do it and I did it, right? And it's from completing that daily task that actually builds my confidence in myself. I did what I said I was going to do. You see, her goal, right, in the story was a 20-mile excursion, but her confidence was built on the 5-minute walk, on the 10-minute walk on the treadmill, on the 20-minute walk on the treadmill. You see, she had the big goal because it's got to be there, but her confidence was built and she got better and she got better and she got better and she showed up and she got consistent. Do you know this today? She is now a trainer and has ran multiple marathons, actually done ultra marathons, 100-milers today. And it all started back to a person who was 100 pounds overweight and a smoker. But it started with the 5 minutes. So again, step 1, make it as simple as possible. Remove obstacles, right? Her treadmill was in the house. That's it, right? Kobe had a key to the gym. Remove obstacles. And then you just got to execute and you got to do it, right? Start simple, right? Start simple. What can you do today? Just say simply, I'm going to get up the first time my alarm goes off. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get up right then, right? Not a snooze, not a double snooze, not a triple snooze. Nope. Start with that. Tell yourself that and then do it and execute. It's simple and it's small, but you got to execute, right? How about this one? How about I'm going to drink my water, better yet, my hydration cocktail before anything else goes in my system. If you want to know more about the hydration cocktail, give me a DM or something, and I'll get you some information on that, right? But it's how we stay hydrated. It's how we get our brain cognitive function working. What if I just do that? Something, make it simple and make it small and execute. All right, cool. Step 2, make it measurable. You have to know when you completed it, because remember, success precedes confidence. What we're building now is confidence, but it's got to be measurable, right? You want it to be achievable. You want it to be measurable. There has to be an actual outcome, either daily, weekly, whatever it is, but you got to have it, right? Her ultimate goal was a 20-mile excursion, but she started small and she measured it. I just can get on there for 5 minutes. That's measurable, right? I'm just going to show up to the gym. Measurable. Did I do it? Yes, I did. Boom. Hell yeah. Building that confidence, right? But as you get better and better and you get to follow through and you see yourself completing this small but measurable task, then they compound, right? They compound. Kobe's at the gym. Now he's shooting 1,000 shots. Now he's working on his leg strength. Now he's running sprints. Now he's working on his, right? He's doing the things that are necessary. But what was the goal? Goal is just get there. Beat everybody here. Put an hour in before anybody shows up. For her, just 5 minutes. Okay, let's go to 10. It's measurable. It's small. And then her confidence starts to build to where you are today. Got it? And step 3, right? 3 steps to building unshakable confidence. Number 3, you got to prioritize. And really, truly on your daily, you got to simplify to 3, right? There's a great quote from Gary Keller in The One Thing, and he says it's one of the biggest lies between you and success. They're lying to you. The biggest lie is that everything matters equally. It doesn't. It doesn't. You've got to prioritize. You've got to simplify. You got to make it small, but then you got to prioritize for what is the most valuable thing to do that's going to get me there, right? Hers was a 20-mile hike. Well, I got to start walking 5 minutes, right? Prioritize that. Get my lungs better. Stop smoking. Get my weight down. Eat better. You see, I start to prioritize, and then the goal becomes measurable. It becomes manageable. It becomes tangible. It gets right into my view. That's where we want to get to, right? So you got to prioritize, and you got to prioritize at a high level, right? Over and over and over again. You see, because listen, and I say prioritize down to 3, because there's another great quote from Jim Collins in From Good to Great. And he says, if you have more than 3 priorities, you have none. And there's a really cool, there's a study that was with an audience, right? And they take the audience and they say, okay, sales conference, right? And they give them 3 tasks. And listen, if they give more than 3 tasks, right? Then the opportunity or the person is likely to do any of them was somewhere in the teens, 13, 15, 16%. Think about that. Why? Because they have decision fatigue, right? There's too many things to decide on. I have to decide and I have to go, and then I got to do it, and all these things, right? But listen, check this out. Even if they gave them 2, you would think it'd be a 50%, right? It's not. It's still less than 50% when there's multiple things. When you give people multiple tasks, because they go, oh, should I do this first? Should I do that first? What should I do? And then they kind of half-ass it, right? They even might do a little bit here and then back there and a little bit back. No, right? If they give them 1, think about this. You'd think, oh yeah, the group, 100%. They don't. It's not even 100%. It's still in the 80s, but it's vastly different, right? So prioritization, if you simplify and you prioritize, start with 1. What's that thing that I can do? Right? For her, was walk on the treadmill for 5 minutes. For Kobe, was to be the first one in the gym, right? That's the most important thing. Yes, I want to shoot 1,000 shots. Yes, I want to dribble for 2 hours straight with double basketballs and in and out and go through. Yes, all those things. But what's prioritize? What's priority number 1? Priority number 1 is not the 1,000 shots. Priority number 1 is get the dress to the gym, right? Hers was priority number 1. What is the biggest thing? Oh, I want to go on this 20-mile hike, this excursion. I want to see these great pyramids. Oh yeah, but I got to walk. Okay, so priority number 1, walk for 5 minutes today. Success precedes confidence, and that's how you build it. You build your confidence through the little successes, right? So real quick, 3 steps to building unshakable confidence. Number 1, make it as simple as possible. Start small, remove the obstacles, and execute. Number 2, make it measurable. You got to know when you completed the task, because that's how the success builds your confidence. And number 3, you got to prioritize. You've got to do the highest and best thing for you for that day. Everything does not matter equally. That's the truth. You have to understand that. All right. And I'll say it to you this way. In our world, You want to be effective, not busy. Give yourself 1, 2, max 3 daily priorities. Successfully knock those out. And that's what starts building your confidence. Success precedes confidence. You got it? Again, what do we say? Really quick. Make it simple, start small, remove the obstacles, make it measurable, prioritize. And I'm going to give you a little bonus. How about this? A little bonus for those of you guys that are sticking around this long. There's 3 variables to motivation. They call it self-determination theory, but for you guys, it's easier to understand. 3 variables to motivation. And so if you want to be motivated, right? And if confidence is the fuel for motivation, confidence is the fuel for motivation, then I say competency is the jet fuel. What do I mean? Because there's 3 variables. The number 1 variable in self-motivation, in being motivated and wanting to do it, is competency. When you develop great competency in your craft, you have a high competency in what you do, you will do it more often. You will be motivated to do it. You understand? You see, with Kobe, what happened? Over and over and over, his competency kept growing year in and year out. You think he wasn't motivated? The highest level, man, right? Because he had that competency. Same thing with the lady, the story that we told, right? She got better at walking, that ultimately led to running, that has now led her to being a trainer and a mile and a marathoner, an ultra marathoner. Why? Because she has developed great competency in her craft. Number 2, 3 variables of motivation. Number 2, autonomy. What does that mean? It means you are responsible for you. Imagine the things in your life. Imagine making $1 million this month was your responsibility. You could do it. You didn't have to worry about anybody else. You didn't have to have anybody else, right? You do it. You're responsible. The way you can add this in now is just take extreme ownership of your life. Where it is right now, take that ownership, and where it's going. Do it. Take it. That's the most important thing. Own it. Own your life and watch how motivated you become. And number 3 is relationships. Build great relationships, but most importantly, be somebody to others. Those of you guys that are parents, you want to talk about motivation, be in another room and hear something fall and hear your child scream. And no matter how tired you are, no matter how whatever, watch how fast you get up and get your ass in that room, right? Because you are somebody to somebody else. You are responsible for that life. So there you go. I hope you take this concept to heart. And the concept number 3 is simple. Success precedes confidence. You have the steps, you have the variables, you have some motivation, but listen, now it's time for implementation. Now it's time for you to execute. All right? On to concept 4. Stick around. It's going to be a fun one. All right? And until next time, get out there and be the best version of you.